I would respectfully say no.
Okay.
What I mean by that is this. Just before you said your piece, we had just agreed on the speculative element about the moon being split.
Correct. Correct.
So it wasn't a definitive answer.
Yes, that's
But
correct.
we are referring it, as you rightly pointed out, we are referring it to something which...
I don't mind. I want to be...
Oh, excellent. I'm Shabbir. You are?
Sanjay.
Sanjay. Nice meeting you. Yeah?
I'm from Australia.
You're from Australia?
Australia.
You mean they gave you a visa to come into our country? Oh, you lucky person. It's all right. You are most welcome.
It's too cold here.
You are telling us. We know about it every day. Don't worry. Yeah, so basically what would happen here is, if we look at it from that perspective, I entirely agree with you. But does it have to be looked at from that perspective? I would respectfully say no. Because if I look at it from the perspective of learning, it is entirely true that every human being is going to learn as they grow. The more access to information, the more they learn. Yeah? And if we look at the scientist's perspective, we find that they will always tell you, we can never give you an absolute answer.
Correct.
Yeah? We can't. Why? Because things are subject to change, which is entirely true. Okay? Yeah. Which is entirely true. If we just look at the current scientific understanding in cosmology also, yeah, we have come over hundreds of years.
What she's saying is that it should be a black race.
Okay.
We are being asked to move. No problem at all. No problem.
He's quite loud.
I know, he's very loud. He's amazing lungs, him. Yeah?
No mono.
Actually, there's another guy that comes sometimes with, he's a bit older with the bald head, Christian.
Oh, yeah, it's not today, I think.
Because 4 weeks ago I was here and someone collapsed.
Really?
Someone had collapsed and they said, who's the doctor? Mansoor, I know Mansoor.
Yeah.
Because I'm an Australian doctor, right?
Okay.
So he said, Sanjay, quick, get him.
Yeah.
Anyway, it took 1 hour for the ambulance to come. Very strange.
Really?
It should not take 1 hour to come.
It shouldn't.
So we grabbed a stool to put the person on, the stool.
Yeah.
I noticed that the Muslims were worried about the person.
Yes.
I was very impressed. That guy was just worried about getting his stool back to go home. And I said to him, you know, one good thing you've done for the day is give us your stool. At least let your stool be there so this guy doesn't fall down. I couldn't believe it. He was just worried. He wasn't worried about the guy. He's worried about the stool.
That's a turn for the books, isn't
I was
it?
shocked.
You should have taken a photograph. Look, the Muslims are concerned.
No, the Muslims were walking. I'm true. I have to say. I have to say what I see.
Absolutely, yeah.
How did you end up with this guy?
With who?
What's his name?
So somebody told me, uncle is calling you. I said, okay, let's go.
I mean, he's, you know, it's not just a brick wall, it's a 10-foot thick brick wall.
It's a matter of understanding, uncle. That's how it goes. Yeah, but going back, sorry, Sanjay, going back to what we were saying. You see, the scientific worldview, if you look at cosmology, it's been over 100 years to arrive at the understanding where we have arrived at.
Today.
But even that is not definitive, because we might
true.
have something else get discovered.
In the future.
Now, if you look at and I will use the example of the Koran, yeah? The logic is this, that if, and it's a hypothetical if for us human beings, if somebody came along and told you, this is the answer, no matter how much you seek after, you will still arrive back at that same answer.
Correct.
Would that be considered to be an absolute answer?
I would feel that from a scientific point of view, it would not be considered. Because
claim by itself is not good enough.
Because similar claims have been made of multiple scientific books in the past, and it's shown to be not the absolute answer.
Absolutely. So, if a claim is made that this is the only answer you are going to come back to, okay, you would need to have logically and necessarily discovered everything about that subject for you to be able to say that.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah?
Yes.
But here is a problem. If there is a particular statement which claims something, and the evidence currently is showing it is contrary to the claim, does the claim now become incorrect?
It depends how strong the evidence is.
Whatever evidence it is, because it will have been derived from a scientific perspective.
Yeah,
however strong it is, can it definitively disagree with the claim?
It can't definitively disagree.
Can it?
Correct.
Well, if it cannot definitively disagree with the claim, when can we confidently assert that we can disagree with it?
I think it's in terms of then you have to use in terms of probability then.
Okay.
So you have to. I don't like to use the word guess.
I know.
You know, but I don't like to use the word guess. Informed guess, but it has to be as best. I mean, there's no other term really, a guess, but a scientific guess, right? We have to go on the probability of things.
Okay.
Like even Richard Dawkins, who is a very famous English atheist, says that if you're on the scale of 1 to 7,
sorry, brother, can you just,
and 7 is you're 100% sure there is a supreme being, and 1 there's 100% sure there isn't. Well, he's a 2. Even he says that you cannot be sure on either side.
Yes.
And I think by saying that, he's saying that I can't understand how people can be a 7.
Yeah.
Surely there must be a 6.999.
Yes.
But you can't say for sure because people change religions all the time.
Absolutely.
Does that mean that they were 100% sure when they were Christian and now they're 100% sure when they're Muslim?
True.
Does that mean they'll always stay Muslim and go back to Christianity later on? You don't know.
Absolutely.
So what's confusing to me would be, how can someone be 100% sure about something that no one can be sure about?
Yeah.
About a topic that no one can be 100% sure about, because we all have the same sources of information.
Absolutely true. But now, you see, logically speaking, as you rightly pointed out, if you are a committed Christian and you become a Muslim, so what kind of commitment was that? If you are a 100% committed Muslim and you become a Christian, what kind of a 100% commitment? Correct. But you will note that in most instances, and I say this respectfully to all us human beings, in most instances, when things like this happen, the majority of the information that one should possess to be able to make that informed decision was actually not there. It was a matter of what we would loosely call faith, F-A-I-T-H, yes? In other words, look, ours is not how and why, ours is but to do and die. Don't question the validity or the illogicality, just believe in it. Now, from a Muslim perspective, I entirely disagree with that approach, not because I personally feel that way, but because of what is contained in the Quran. If the Quran is talking about certain issues, it isn't in a vacuum, yes? It is grounded in reality. That is my approach, okay? So, if you find a claim being made, yes, just like the one about the moon being split, if the statement says it was done, we can speculate till the cows come home. That's an English saying. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yes, we use it.
Till the cows come home. Okay, so why don't we do this? Leave it aside. When the necessary
testing can be done.
Exactly, we will be able to establish whether it was or it was not. Yeah. Now, my view is simple. If a claim had been made in the Quran about something, then I can guarantee that we will develop the necessary understanding and technology to be able to verify. So, as an example, the Quran talks about a particular incident that occurred to a group of people, yes? And these group of people were put to sleep in a cave for a period of 300 odd years, yes?
Okay.
Now, the question arises, who can go to sleep for 300 years? You just waste away because you are not eating, you are not drinking, nothing, yes? But it doesn't happen that way. The narrative goes that they, after a period of so many years, over 300 years, 309, they wake up.
Okay.
And when they question, well, how long have we been asleep? Well, it's been a day or two, until they go down into town and find that the coins that they are using were all completely changed. Now, usually we would, you know what you said, if Muhammad came and performed some miracles, that would be the science of the day. I turn this and I look at this this particular narrative and think to myself, wait a minute, okay, we might consider it a miracle for whatever that means, yes, but we are grounded in reality, yes. You know, the saying goes, if everything is subject to natural causes, there is no room for supernatural causes.
Correct, yes.
Yeah? And this is one thing Professor Paul Davis asserts, yeah? He says if the understanding is there. So if anything happened, then it would have happened within the realm of what we would call scientific laws.
Yes.
Now the question here is this. If we can definitively agree that we have not totally discovered all the scientific laws that govern pretty much everything, then the likelihood is that we are going to possibly discover certain laws which will accord with what had actually occurred prior.
Yes,
now we can't disagree with that.
Yes,
so I am saying, okay, wait a minute, what was this? Well, the narrative says they were in a cave. Well, usually if you go in a cave, it is very, very cold and very dark. Yeah, we know that. Okay, so I'm thinking, is it talking about how to work with cold temperatures? Because I don't know, you are a doctor.
Yes.
Are you familiar with cryogenics?
Yes.
You know what that is.
Yes.
Dealing with cold temperatures and how they react with living organisms.
Yes.
I'm looking at that, and I'm not looking at it as a miracle. That's narrative in the Quran.
You're trying to apply a scientific point of view to try and look at how it might have been done.
Absolutely. But now, if you are not going to have the sign, because the word ayah in Arabic means sign, it's a sign to something. If the sign is showing you something and you miss the sign, then you miss the message.
Then you miss the point.
You miss the point completely. So here
that story is actually trying to tell you about the world. Or
a discovery that you are going to be able to make. And I am 100% confident, 99.99% confident, yeah, 99.99% confident that we will find rules or laws, scientific or otherwise, which will verify this particular incident. But now this is just as an example I'm using, okay? How am I going to do that? Well, the Quran actually tells us, yeah, I'm looking at it from the Muslim perspective. It says to us, you will look up there on the horizons and within yourselves until it will be manifest to you that what you have in your hands is the truth. So I'm thinking, well, okay, if I look at the horizon, I can see something. But if I go there, it's moved.
Yes, you can.
You go there, it's moved. In other words, it is actually giving you something here for us to understand that, look, you will continue discovering, continue discovering until you come to the point where it will completely and entirely accord with what is contained. Can you see that? Now, it not only says that, it says within yourselves. Now, we are at a stage where recently I was just reading a book by Professor Jim Al-Khalili, okay? And he's talking about how quantum mechanics actually affects the cells in the human body or in any living organism. And what the interaction is. Why did they come to this idea? Because they were looking at how robins, you know the birds, how they navigate themselves. It was just something impossible. How do they get to where they were going? Okay? One fellow suggested many years ago, he says, I think they are using the magnetic workings of the earth and using that. But the force itself is very weak according to the bird and how it can communicate. But something was happening. He suggested that, look, there is a connection. Recently, it was established that they are actually using the magnetic field of the earth. And they call it, they have got what they call magnetoreception, okay? Now, many years ago, if anybody thought, how is this bird? God is doing it.
Correct.
And we leave it at that. That's not what the Quran has said. The Quran is actually telling the people who are reading it, just go out and discover this. Just go and see. See how these things are happening. Yeah? Now, if I were to ask you, brother, the scientific method is all about what? It is all about discovery.
It's about discovery.
Yeah? It's discovery. So when somebody comes with a claim and says, by the way, Sanjay, do you know what? I found a way of levitating this brother. Sorry, I'm just using you as an example. Yeah? You'd say, Really?
Show me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I said, no, before I show you, look, theoretically it's possible. Yeah, theoretically, yes, anything's possible. I can fly like Superman.
Okay.
But can you show me in practice?
Yes.
That's what we would do. The Quran is actually advocating that. It is actually telling you, do you not consider? Do you not see? Do you not think? Now, why would a book from a creator ask the human being to ponder over things?
Well, I'm only guessing from an Islamic point of view is for human beings who are made by Allah to discover His creation.
Okay, let us assume that is, it sounds logical to me. Yeah, let us assume that to be the case, just for the purpose of the discussion. Okay,
and possibly to come closer to Him.
Now here it is.
Okay.
If we think about it, yeah, if we think about it, I am told, look at a person with mercy, as an example, yeah? Look at a person with mercy. Look at a person with compassion, yeah?
Yes.
Brilliant, no problem. I look at a person with mercy and compassion, and he suddenly pulls a knife out at me.
Correct, yes.
Do I still carry on looking at him mercifully and compassionately? Yeah, well, no, looking on the size of the knife, I'm off. Yeah, but the reality is there. I am told, look at a person compassionately and mercifully. But that person may pull a knife, or he may even pull a gun. What do I do? Do I still carry on, brother, 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 and he's ready to go for it? Now, we will find as human beings, just like you came from Australia to the United Kingdom, you had to obtain a visa.
Correct.
Yeah? No visa, no entry.
A work visa. I'm working here.
Oh, are you? Oh, that's excellent. Then you are lucky. You are
Even
lucky.
worse.
Okay, but
from here to Australia too.
no, from Australia to here he came.
No, yeah, but I'm saying for UK people, they're going to Australia.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Yeah,
It comes the opposite way.
I've come the opposite way.
he's an Indian. That's how we are.
I know. We move everywhere.
We just shift all over the place, no problem. Yeah, but you find, I'm told that, but it doesn't stop there.
Yes.
Now I need to know if a situation arose where I'm being attacked by the person, should I just carry on being compassionate and merciful? Actually, yes. But sometimes stopping him is also being merciful and compassionate to him, because he might cause more damage to himself possibly or to you.
Right.
But now, these are rules which we human beings have developed for the benefit of human beings.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
The difference is this. When we are looking at the Quran, we are not saying we know absolutely, because as human beings we can't. Okay? What we are saying is, there seems to be a definitive yardstick here. Now you see my word choice.
Yes.
There seems to be a definitive,
Yes. Okay.
yes? How can we establish that? By assessing the evidence. Whatever yardstick we as human beings will have, it is suggested that this will meet it. Now, a yardstick can be independent, isn't it?
Yes.
What you know, I may not know. What I know, you may. Yeah, it's different. But this is the odd thing, that if you have a yardstick which is malleable and actually fits in with everyone's criteria, how would we scientifically establish that to be?
Now, if I had a yardstick that was scientific, well, that's more difficult to establish.
It is, isn't
Very
it?
difficult.
It is. But that will necessarily mean that we would have to readdress the evidence.
Yes.
And that is what the Quran is continually invoking people to do.
Okay.
Now, leaving aside that, we come to what we would call the spiritual events, yes?
Yeah.
I use the word very
supernatural.
carefully. Yeah, call it supernatural, yes? But these are things which we can only conceive of as concepts,
Yes.
yes? We can think certain things, yeah? And it just a few days ago, I was talking to a gentleman, and he raised an issue very similar to this. He says, look, I can't understand about, religion as such, yeah? He says, as a Muslim, you are told to perform 5 times a day prayers, etc. He says, but even if I don't do it, I know I'm a good person. And we should do good to people, yeah? I said, you know what, you are right. But sometimes you must actually establish what you mean by saying, I'm good to people. So I told him, I said, let me give you an example. I am sat at a cafe, yeah? And this lady comes, yeah? And she starts telling me about her life story unnecessarily, yeah? To me, unnecessarily, but she does, yeah? And I'm listening to it, okay? out of deference to her, and then I realized she genuinely seems to have a problem, okay? But now, I want to do good for her. Yeah, I'm telling this gentleman, yeah? I said, I want to do good for her, okay? And then she realizes, she raises the prospect of being intimate with her, yes?
Yes.
And it may cause, you know, the affliction she seems to have, it may cause that to recede.
Okay.
Now, if I become intimate with her, would I have done a good deed?
The way that you've described it,
Yes.
you've done a good deed for her.
I've done a good deed, haven't I? But now, suppose the equation of marriage came in.
Okay, and you're married. Well, then there's a conflict between doing something good for her and the conflict between doing something bad against your wife.
Okay. Now, suppose I were to do good,
Yes.
okay? Why has it become bad for the wife?
Because you've made a contract with your wife to not do that action.
Okay, absolutely correct. But now that necessarily means that the way we define good ought to be addressed also. Because that was supposed to be a good deed, but no, it doesn't turn out to be that, okay? Now, here's another problem that I foresee. Because if I want to do good, then I should also know what the limits are going to be of what I consider to be good, which may not necessarily be good for the other person.
Correct. Yes.
Now, again, logically, if I follow it through to its conclusion, I would need a yardstick that is impartial.
Yes, that's correct.
How do I derive that?
Well, that is derived, I think.
Yes. Subjective.
Morals.
Yes.
I think morals are subjective because they change over time.
Yes.
And they change fairly slowly with a combination of laws, a combination of the
research and
changing
findings.
zeitgeist, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Like the way people think, the way your children think is different to the way the adults think. See?
We hope. Yes.
The very fact that people only live to about 100 years pushes, progresses morals. If people lived 1,000 years old, that would retard the progress of society in general.
Okay.
Because people who are in charge will keep their old ways.
Absolutely.
And will not allow the juniors to assert their own
independence and identity.
Ideas. So that's why I think, for example, in 10 Commandments, I think the Quran has a similar sort of list.
Yes.
Like, for example, thou shalt not lie. I think that's relative as well.
Yeah.
Because if I say, let's say your next door neighbor is the wife of your next door neighbor comes to your house in the middle of the night and she's bleeding and she says, my husband has just beaten me. Can you let me in? And you, of course, being a nice Muslim, you let her in. Okay. Okay. And a good human being. And then 5 minutes later, her husband comes to the door and he asks you, have you seen my wife? You have to lie or not lie. If it's absolute that you cannot lie, then you're going to cause her to possibly get beaten up again or murdered.
Agreed.
So what do you do? See, I think those laws are relative on the situation that you're in.
You know what? I entirely agree with you.
I'm surprised.
No, I entirely agree with you.
These Christians don't agree.
No, I entirely agree with you, because here is the logic, and I'm taking it to its conclusion. If a woman came, next door neighbor, she was being beaten up. If the husband came, I had a choice to either lie or to tell the truth.
Correct.
Okay? It's a judgment call. It is a judgment call that I'm going to have to make.
Yes.
Yes?
But is it a judgment?
I'm going to go.
Are you off? Okay, look after yourself. Oh, is it? Right, look after yourself, yeah. And keep me in the loop about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? Very soon we can do that. Okay. Look after yourself, bye. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry.
See, my question would be, if you're commanded to never lie,
agreed.
Then you can't make it's not up to you to decide
but is that
when to lie and when not
I
to
agree,
lie.
but is that what it says? Is the question.
Well, I don't know what the Quran. But
right, let's go forward.
But the Christian book says that.
Yeah.
That just a very basic statement.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
There's no interpretation of it, no caveats, nothing.
With the greatest of respect to my Christian friends, Thankfully, that is not the case right now. You see, yeah, if they came, as I said, I would have to make a judgment call, okay? If the judgment call is going to lead to her having, again, infliction of damage, yes, then my call is a simple one. No, she hasn't come here.
Right.
Yeah? Or he says, have you seen my wife? I said to him, yes, I have.
That's it.
That's it. What? Yes, I have. Oh, is she here? Yes, she is. But you are not coming in. I can do that. But if he's a 6 foot, 8 foot, yeah, then I would have to think twice about it, wouldn't I? I'll look at him. Sorry, what was that? No, I haven't seen nobody like that. But I am looking at this and thinking. Now, from the Islamic perspective, yes, I would look at this and I know, yes, that if on a normal footing, if a creator of everything and everyone, yeah, allows me to put somebody into the mire, I would have grave reservations about a creator like that. Yes? So the question is, it's a moral judgment. Yeah? Now, I am told that if, for example, there are two brothers, yes, and they have ended up fighting or arguing over something, and I have the opportunity to have a reconciliation made based on what I would call creative truth.
Yes. Okay.
Yes? If I did it, would that not be considered good? Bearing in mind, only I know what I have done and the Creator. Nobody else does.
It's like a white lie.
Call it a white lie.
I don't
Yeah?
know why they call it.
I was about to
There
say.
must be some English derivation of that.
Yeah, well, whatever. But the point is, Sanjay, the point is, I would have done something good.
Correct. Because, well, are you saying the end justifies the means?
Now, not only that, absolutely. But the end justifies the means, but you as an individual would have to address the situation to determine whether the ends justify the means. So, for example,
Because
if I
I don't
knew...
think it always justifies the means.
No, it doesn't. But that is where the judgment call comes. So, for example, if I realize that you two guys are fighting over something, wait a minute, let me take this situation down and say this. If that case, yeah, there is flexibility there for me, and I know that if the Creator has told me, look, there are given situations, yeah, that He has given, yeah, He has told us very clearly a certain situation may arise where you are. It's for the benefit of make that call very, very careful. Address it. Requirements there.
I heard that you're not allowed or not supposed to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
But if it's the only drink you have in the desert,
Absolutely.
you can drink.
Yeah, well, you are a doctor and you will be the perfect individual. Yeah, but you will be the perfect individual to answer this. If, as an example, we are forbidden to touch this gentleman according to law.
Right.
Yeah? And we are walking, having a joke and laugh, and we see him severely injured.
Yes.
What do we do?
Well, I will use my subjective morality and touch him.
And touch. I would use, I don't care what it is, I would touch him anyway and try and help him.
Okay.
Because if the law came and told me, right, you know what, sorry, you've committed an offense, I would say, yeah, so what? I help him. But any law that is like that,
But are
we would
there
get
any
rid
laws
of.
in the Quran that are objective, that cannot be changed?
That cannot be?
That cannot be, that are not allowed to be interpreted?
No, there's no such thing.
There's no
I'll
such
give you an example. In the history of Islam, a situation arose where a famine took the land over. Severe hunger and famine. Now, there are certain laws which were implemented then, like for a thief, the punishment, okay?
Okay.
The ruler of the state at that time suspended the whole punishment completely. In fact, the whole system about theft, yeah, that legal element was suspended temporarily because the circumstances didn't allow this.
Right.
Now, what kind of flexibility is this? According to the understanding of people, in an inflexible system. Actually, no, it isn't inflexible at all. In fact, it gives you the facility, but not willy-nilly. Yes? Again, circumstances, and if you address, the perspective, or if you address things from the scientific perspective, you will see that that is always considered first. Look at all the available evidence, derive a conclusion based on the evidence. Now, if a system is telling you, look, if X happens, don't do Y, do Z instead. It's amazing flexibility. The problem is, Brother Sanjay, the majority of the human beings who adhere to systems like this are not entirely giving what the system actually says.
That's what I was trying to get into, because there's a difference in the way that, I think in general, in the West, Muslims get a very bad rap.
Absolutely.
Because you can't like, for example, female
genital mutilation.
Mutilation. Okay. That the country in which that's carried out most is a Christian country.
Yes.
Okay. I read enough and understood enough to realize that. That you can't generalize about 1.6 billion people.
Absolutely.
Because they have different thinking, and local laws will affect their
customs will affect.
So I think in general you do get a very bad rap.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's always confusing for those that are not so well read.
That's true, yes.
When they look upon the Islamic world, they will look at an example of Saudi Arabia and say that is Islam.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, and they say, do they want us to all become like that, where women can't drive? But that's just the local laws in Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely, now here is the amazing thing. The way I look at it, even if we take the example of Saudi Arabia, the odd thing about human beings is this, and it is the prevailing culture that seems to be in the ascendancy and that seems to govern how people are thinking. What I mean by that is this. If I tell you, do you know the moon is actually hollow inside?
Okay.
I just say.
Yes.
The first thing I will be told is, what is your evidence for that?
Correct.
You will note in literally every aspect of life, we will seek evidence.
Correct, yes.
Except when it comes to collectively what we call religion.
Because you're relying on faith.
Who told us that?
I think the book has told us that. Or so you're saying the clerics have told you that?
Not the clerics. If you think about